Hi, and a huge welcome back to 50 Cents. I've had a few requests to do a video about the differences between bioidentical and body identical hormones. So I thought the easiest thing to do was go and look at what the dictionary says. Yeah, according to the dictionary, there is no difference between bioidentical and body identical. But in the world of menopause, there is a huge difference between the two. Body identical and bioidentical use hormones that are extracted from natural sources that are identical to those produced in the body. Because they come from natural sources and because, more importantly, they match your body's own chemicals, there's less chance of them having any sort of dangerous side effects for you. In theory, bioidentical and body identical are exactly the same thing. However, it's now become standard that bioidentical means hormones that are produced by compounding pharmacists. Now, compounding pharmacists are pharmacists that make up medicines specifically for you. They don't mass produce, they don't have regular brand names, they are specific for the patient. Body identical has come to me in the more mass produced forms of HRT that we get on the market, while the other is an individual take for you. In effect, it's the difference between couture clothes and pret-a-porter, ready to wear. One of them, you will go to the designer and he will tailor it exactly for you. The other one, you go to the shop and you take it off the peg. So while they're both bioidentical or body identical because they are identical to your body, there is a big difference, and this is what they're known as. One is CBHRT, and that's your compounded HRT, which is your couture, and the other is RBHRT, which is regulated HRT. That's your ready to wear. Remember, C, couture, R, ready to wear. So in effect, the question between what is bioidentical and what is body identical is the Schrodinger's cat of HRT, because you can have an ingredient that is both bioidentical and body identical until it hits a pharmacist. Bioidentical, as it's been termed, is rarely, if ever, done on the NHS because it's unlicensed. Each dosage is tailor-made to the individual, so therefore there's an infinite number of preparations that can be done, which means it's impossible to clinically test every prescription. Body identical HRT, however, is one size fits all, so it's regulated, it's been tested, and it's been proven safe. I don't want to scare you though. Don't think this means that if you're on bioidentical, it hasn't been tested. Your actual formula hasn't been tested, but all of the bits that go to make it, all of the ingredients, all of the drugs that have been used will have been tested beforehand. I just want to break in and say, if you're enjoying this, please hit the like button because it helps more people find it. Thanks. What happens with bioidentical is you'll give a saliva test, and from this test they will work out exactly what different hormones you need. So the hormones we're talking about are estradiol E2, estriol E3, estrone E1, progesterone, DHEA, yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, testosterone, levothyroxine. So you might need a little bit of this estrogen, you might need a little bit of that one, chuck in a little bit of DHEA, throw in a little bit of testosterone, and that's supposed to be the perfect mix for you. Oh, and don't forget that progesterone if you've still got a womb, of course. You can get it in creams, you can get it in gels, but you can also get drops and lozenges for this as well. Whereas with body identical, it's not as wide ranging. It sounds great. I mean, you get an HRT that's tailor-made just for you. Couture's better than pret-a-porter. It's got to be fabulous, hasn't it? Yeah, not quite. Bioidentical is not marketed as medication, it's marketed as a natural supplement. So that means it doesn't need approval by the regulators. There's a lack of medical evidence that it is beneficial to mix the different forms of estrogen, so your E1, your E2 and your E3s. Plus, if it's a topical preparation, there's a huge variety in how much can be absorbed through your particular skin, which means when it comes to progesterone, you might not be getting all of the protection you should for your womb. And that's worrying because that could lead to endometrial cancer. And also because it hasn't been tested and hasn't been trialed, it doesn't come with any warnings about side effects or risks because your particular make, nobody knows what the side effects are and nobody knows what the risks are because it's one of a kind, it's one off. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Body Identical does not have any faults, because it's taken me 4 years to find the right HRT through Body Identical HRT. I am textbook proof that one size does not fit all. Also, because of the way the NHS works, the funding isn't always there, so you don't always get what you're prescribed, especially now because we've got some shortages, and whether that's Brexit, whether that's the manufacturers, whether that's the prescription pricing policy of the government, we don't know, nobody's telling us, but it means you don't always get what you're prescribed. And for some people, there's a big difference between taking Sandrina gel, for example, and taking Estrogel. Your body likes one or it doesn't like the other. Also, there's that limited delivery, so you don't get much choice of how you get your HRT delivered. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but for some people, they might like to take a lozenge, or they might like to have drops. I understand that. RBHRT, so that's your ready to wear, your Body Identical, is considered the safest option. And in the UK, it's the one the BMS, the British Menopause Society, and the NHS approve. If you're on private medicine as well, so for those of you who watch me in the States, and I love having viewers from the States by the way, you're more likely to get it on your insurance because they're not so worried about the risks to you. In addition to the extra risks of not being trialled, Bioidentical relies on tests, so saliva tests or serum tests, and they've been shown time and time again to be unreliable. With your hormones through the menopause, it would be lovely if they just trailed away nice and simple, but they don't. One day you could be hit with loads of estrogen, the next it plunges down low. So you never know from one day to the next how your hormone levels are going to be. So any saliva test is only as good as your hormones on that day. And that makes it really unreliable, and it's expensive. You're having to pay for that saliva test, which isn't really any good. And there's been no medical research that shows that Bioidentical is any better than Body Identical. Most of the leading clinics in the UK, so the likes of the Newson Clinic, will not do Bioidentical. Dr. Louise Newson is one of the experts when it comes to hormones, so if she doesn't trust Bioidentical, why would I? We have a huge thing in the UK where we think private must be better, and I would love to hear from anybody who is on Bioidentical HRT, and I'd love to hear the benefits of it for them and why they chose to go for that rather than go for the Body Identical. But just like when you go to the high street chemist and you find a dupe for the expensive makeup you like, just because one's expensive and one's cheap doesn't mean it's better. That dupe can do just the job that you need it to. If you're confused about the different types of Body Identical HRT there is out there, I have something for you. But if you've enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe and notifications button so you get notified as soon as my next video comes out. And if there's any topics you'd like me to cover, please just drop me a note below in the comments. And if you are confused about the different forms of Body Identical HRT, click over onto this video and I'll see you there.